Okay, video number 6. We're going to talk about interview etiquette and a little bit of a checklist on what you're going to need to know before you walk into an interview. All right, now you're in the show. This is it. You've got your first big interview. You've been doing basic interview practice, you've been doing advanced interview practice. You're actually ready for this. You are an outstanding interviewer and you know how to dress. So let's just talk a little bit about the tiny bits of things you need to know on etiquette or manners or rules of politeness for getting through interviews. Because if you haven't done a bunch of them, sometimes it's hard to know exactly how to do these. So here's a few things. Get ready to write these down. Okay, number one, for your interview, arrive a few minutes early. When I say a few minutes early, I'm talking like 5 minutes early. You don't want to show up half an hour early. That's like stalking. It puts them in an awkward position because they may have other interviewees coming through and they don't want you to cross paths. So show up 5 minutes early. Of course, that doesn't mean show up at the place of business 5 minutes early. You show up 20 minutes early. You make sure you have a place to park. You make sure you go in front of the mirror and make sure all the nose hairs are in the right place and all that. But then you actually show up for your interview just a few minutes early. Also, try to watch other people to pick up on behavioral cues. If you walk in the room and people are smiling and welcoming, you be smiling and welcome. If you walk in the room and they're like, oh my God, I've had 13 interviews today, you get up there and you respect that they're tired, but you smile and you do the best you can to engage them. 3, try to remember or write down names. Sometimes you'll have one person interviewing you. Sometimes you'll have 5 or 6 or even 10 in some situations. Do what you can to remember their names. Hopefully, they've got nameplates in front of them, but either way, when you're getting introduced, you have your pad and paper there, and you, as you're being introduced to people, you write down without looking down the paper, try and write down their names. So when that person asks you an interview question, you can say, wow, Lisa, that's a great question. Thank you. And you can address that person by name. It actually says a lot. And the way I do it is I have my piece of paper like this. And if they're sitting like a U at a table, I write their names exactly where they're sitting so that I can easily glance down at that paper and refer to them by their name if they don't have nameplates in front of them, which usually they do, but it's nice to cover your bases. Now, number 4, if they offer you some kind of a hospitality, would you like some coffee? Would you like a water, something? Please accept their hospitality. It actually kind of comes off as being a little standoffish if you say, no, 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 I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. If they say, have something to eat, say yes and thank you and take a nibble and tell them how great it is. And because that's good old fashioned hospitality, and accepting that goes a long way. Now, number 5, listen. Now, I know you're in an interview and you probably got a little bit of nerves going on, but try and take the time to breathe and listen because they're going to be communicating things with you. And if you're nervous, your brain is going to be in a place right back here that's just dealing with, living and dying and not very cerebral. Try and be a good listener and reflect back on what people are telling you. Relax. Don't over relax. Don't go into your interview like this. That just looks really nah. But try and relax and get to the point where your shoulders are squared, but they're not hunched and you're not in military format. Try and enjoy yourself as much as you can. Allow your brain to function as much as it can from here and not so much on that reptilian brain we talked about in class. And finally, number 7, when you're done with your interview, write a thank you note to every member of that committee. And you have their names because you wrote them down when you walked in. Give each of them a short, neat, handwritten note that's the best case scenario because sometimes by the time they receive that note and they read it, they might not have already made their decision. And your thank you might be enough to kind of push it over the edge right there. At the very, very least, sending an email is It's better than nothing, but a handwritten note, it's a little old-fashioned, but a little old-fashioned can go a long way. Okay, so that's 7 points of interview etiquette. Okay, now we're talking interview checklist. This is in your book, but remember, you should have a checklist. You don't do anything important without some kind of a checklist, right? You get married, you got a plan for vacation, you make a list. Okay, 2 weeks before your interview, here's 5 things. Get your suit dry cleaned and ready. Make sure it fits. Yes, I have had an interview where I put on my suit and it was like, and nobody wants to be squeezed into a bodysuit for their interview. Make sure it fits and it's clean. Confirm the date and time and location of that interview. This is not something you write on a yellow sticky paper and put in your wallet or something. Make sure you know where you're going and when you're going. And if you're going to be asked to do some kind of a presentation, don't wait until a couple days before your interview. Prepare that sucker 2 weeks in advance. Know where you're going to park, know how you're going to get there, know how to get into the building, and continue to practice for your interview every day. Okay? So that's 2 weeks before your interview. Here's the day of your interview. You're going to have a folder with you, an interview folder, nice leather or fake leather. Inside that folder, you're going to have several copies of your resume. You're going to have note paper so that when you sit down to do your interview, you can write their names on there or any important thing that you want to make sure stays, that might slip out of your brain, but it's going to stay on paper. You definitely want your interview logistics on there, which is where is the address? Where is the building? What is the office number? Who is your check-in person? What is their phone number? Because here's what you're not going to have at your job interview. You're not going to bring your phone into your job interview, because if you do, guaranteed that ringer's going to mysteriously turn itself on and go off in the middle of your interview. So you're not going to have your phone there. You're going to write down all that logistics on a piece of paper in your interview folder. You're also going to have some of your personal business cards. If you don't already have that, it's just a quick contact. It's your name, it's a contact email, contact phone number, and your specialty. It's just a personal business card so they can have that on hand. When you meet the people in your interview, you don't have to start by handing them a card, but if they ask for it, you have it right there. Okay, the night before your interview, get a good night's sleep. I know this might be kind of hard because you're nervous and stuff, but you won't be that nervous if you're well practiced. Getting a good night's sleep goes a long way to sounding smart. Okay, now it's 0 hour. It is right before your interview. Here's 4 things to remember. Cell phone in car. Leave it there. Don't even think about bringing it with you. 2, check your wardrobe. Make sure everything is just right for an interview. Arrive a few minutes early, and if you want, do a relaxation exercise, something that will help you right before you go in. It can be squeezing every muscle in your body for 10 seconds and then releasing it. And squeeze every muscle in your body and then release it. Just doing a little bit of that is going to go a long way towards relaxation. I was going to do a longer relaxation exercise in class, but we're not going to be in class, and I don't want this sucker to be on film, so you'll just have to figure it out on your own. Okay, 2 things to do after the interview. Write your thank you notes, and this is important, every question that they asked you that you can still remember, write it down. That goes into your question bank. You're going to have that forever. So write your thank you notes and write down those questions. Good luck.